Recording. Good morning, everyone, and welcome, and thank you for joining our webinar, Elevating Sustainability, Certifying Bio-Based Products. I'm your moderator, Chris Weigel with OmniTech International. We appreciate you joining us today to learn about the world of certifying soy and other bio-based products for the Sustainable Products programs. And during this webinar, we'll provide you with the valuable insights into certification processes and also its benefits within the sustainable products market. Plus, we'll aim to help you to prioritize which certifications fit your products, how to start the process, and how to navigate through the challenges to accelerate your vision. Our speakers will also detail the intricacies of certification programs such as USDA BioPreferred, CleanGredients, Safer Choice, GreenScreen, Cradle to Cradle, ChemFORWARD, and CleanPackaging. So I'd like to thank our wonderful guest speakers for joining us today. We have a very full and a very exciting agenda for our webinar. With us today are two industry experts. First, we have Marissa Mamone, USDA BioPreferred Program Specialist from Saban Group, and Elizabeth Rich, Senior Manager for Green Blue. I'd like to remind you again, if you have any questions or comments, please type them into the Q&A box and include the speaker's name or company with your question. And we'll get to as many questions as time allows after both speakers present during this webinar. Now it is my great pleasure to introduce Marissa Mamone. Marissa is the leader for the U.S. Department of Agriculture BioPreferred Programs Technical and Program Support Team. The Technical and Program Support Team is often referred to as the front door of the program. As such, she and her team have a hand in nearly all aspects of the program, including building public-private relationships between the USDA and its program shareholders. And at this time, it's my great pleasure to turn it over to Marissa.
Thank you so much, Chris. I'm very excited to be here today and to share with you all a little bit about the BioPreferred program, what we do, who we are, what we've been up to, and then finish off by discussing how you can participate and get started and be a participant in the BioPreferred program. So with that, let me go ahead and flip the slide. Okay. So our agenda for this morning, we're going to start off by discussing program history and mission. We're going to touch on some program stats and metrics. We'll discuss benefits of participating. Then we'll dive into the two program initiatives, the differences between them and what they each do. We'll touch on some fiscal year 23 year-end review metrics that we're excited to share. It was our busiest year as a program, and we love to be busy. After that, we're going to get soy specific, and we're going to touch on some soy-based products that participate in our program. We'll highlight a couple of those, and we'll discuss some soy-based statistics for our participating products. And with that, let's dive into program history and mission. So the BioPreferred program is managed by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, often referred to as the USDA. We were established as part of the 2002 Farm Bill, but the program was expanded in the 2008, 2014, and 2018 Farm Bills. And each time a Farm Bill was released, our program was expanded a little bit. The program identifies and seeks new markets for bio-based products. So the program was initially founded to, quite frankly, put money back into farmers' pockets to spur economic development in rural America. So after farmers used their crops for food and feed and fuel, there's some feedstock left over. And what can they do with that feedstock? Who can they sell it to? What can it be used as the raw material for? we have found over the history of our program, over the 21 years that we've been in existence, that not only does the program support economic sustainability, but it also supports environmental sustainability, making that transition away from petroleum-based products to bio-based products. And since then, we have expanded internationally. So you do not have to be located in the US to participate in the program. Your product can be manufactured, sold, raw materials sourced from anywhere in the world to participate in our program. So like I already said, our mission initially was to spur economic development and to create US-based jobs. Additionally, we strive to provide new markets for farm commodities, reduce our reliance on petroleum, and in turn, increase the use of renewable agricultural resources. Finally, we strive to reduce adverse environmental and health impacts. So with that, I'm going to jump into the next slide here. Okay, some interesting program statistics so that you can familiarize yourself with the BioPreferred program. We have more than 2,400 participating companies. And within those 2,400 companies, nearly 8,000 certified products. So a company does not earn BioPreferred certification, a product does. And so that's why we say that there are 8,000 certified products belonging to 2,400 participating companies. We have nearly 9,000 products designated for preferred federal procurement. We have nearly 275 product categories. I think it's 274 exactly. So we're almost to that 275 number. But 139 of our product categories have been designated for preferred federal purchasing. In a later slide, I'll get into what that difference is between a voluntary labeling product category and a preferred federal purchasing product category. Lastly, in fiscal year 2022, the federal government spent nearly $100 million worth spent nearly $100 million on bio-based products. And that is only the number that was reported to us. So we expect it's a bit higher, and that there were some bio-based purchases that weren't reported. But that is the metric we're looking at there. All right, so let's move on to benefits of participation. So why participate in the BioPreferred program? What will you gain from it? So for one, you'll gain an opportunity to sell to the federal government. The federal government is the single biggest purchaser in the United States. And by participating in the BioPreferred program, you're on their radar for purchases. Next, the label helps consumers make informed decisions about their purchases. When a consumer sees the BioPreferred program label on product packaging or marketing materials, they know not only that the product is confirmed to be bio-based, but additionally, our label shows the bio-based percentage of that product. And so our label helps inform consumers about their purchasing so they can make informed decisions. Next, products can participate simultaneously in both the USDA BioPreferred program and any other certification program of your choosing. They're not exclusive. We love when folks come to us and let us know that they're already participating in several other certification programs. We would never shy a company or product away for participating also in another certification program. Next, products are eligible to be listed in the BioPreferred program catalog. So we have a catalog on our website. If you go to biopreferred.gov and click on the catalog tab, you'll see all of the products that participate in our program, mostly all of the products. There are some private label products that participate in our program, and there are some products that have earned certification pre-launch, so we wouldn't show that information publicly quite yet, but We have a catalog of participating products on our website that not only the federal government uses when they make their purchases, but consumers frequent our website as well to see which products are bio-based and to confirm whether or not a product that they're already purchasing is bio-based. And so it's that little extra exposure of your product to the market. Next, we contribute to the economic development in rural America. I won't dive too deep into that one as we already spoke about that in a previous slide. And the last benefit of participation is third-party verification of your product's bio-based content. It's one thing to put on your product label bio-based. It's another thing to third-party verify that the product is bio-based and how bio-based it is. And so by participating in the BioPreferred program, a third party is verifying this claim of yours, and it just solidifies it that much more. All right, let's jump into the next slide. On this slide, we're going to discuss the two major program initiatives that are part of the BioPreferred program. So the BioPreferred program has two major initiatives, both designed to create and expand the market for bio-based products. And so when the BioPreferred program was founded, it was only one initiative. It was the Preferred Federal Purchasing Initiative. This initiative directs federal agencies and their contractors to give procurement preference to bio-based products in categories designated by the USDA. So those are those 139 categories that I called out on a previous slide. It is mandated that under those 139 product categories, when the federal government is making their purchases, they must give priority to bio-based products. They must take a first pass at purchasing bio-based products. Later, about 9 or 10 years after the program was founded, it was expanded in a later Farm Bill to include the voluntary labeling initiative. So now both initiatives exist simultaneously under the umbrella of the BioPreferred program. A little bit more about the voluntary labeling initiative. It certifies bio-based products through trusted third-party verification of bio-based content. Participating products must have a bio-based content at or above the minimum bio-based content requirement of the most appropriate product category. So to clarify that, all 275 almost of our product categories have a different bio-based content requirement. And those bio-based content requirements are based off of market research, what is going on in industry, what is a reasonable bio-based content for a product in that product category based on research and development and what's going on in the world. So out of our 200, almost 275 product categories, if your product participates in any of our product categories, it is eligible for the label, for the voluntary labeling initiative. But then furthermore, it's only eligible for preferred federal procurement if it's in one of those 139 product categories. Something that we're currently working on right now is designating more of our product categories for mandatory federal procurement. And we'd love to see someday all 275 product categories be designated for mandatory federal procurement so that if your product participates, it gets both of those benefits. Lastly, the product must meet one of the program's innovative criteria. So I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into this innovative criteria. We are a single attribute program. The only requirement to participate is that your product be bio-based. But we have this little innovative criteria caveat. So what is that? If your product is a product that is made using bio-based raw materials and historically the product wasn't made with historically bio-based materials. So say a hand soap, for example. Hand soap has historically been made with petroleum-based ingredients. And say your company makes it with soy-based ingredients. The product automatically meets one of our innovative criteria, I believe 1A, 1B, or 1C. So long as you're making a bio-based product that historically wasn't bio-based, we consider that innovative and is automatically eligible to participate in the program. Where we get a little bit into the weeds on this is mature market products. So wood pallets, they've historically been made by wood. There's nothing really innovative about making a wood pallet out of wood. A cotton t-shirt, they've historically been made out of cotton. There's nothing particularly innovative about making a cotton t-shirt out of cotton. But at the end of the day, these products are bio-based. So how can we make these folks eligible to participate in our program? Our innovative criteria. So we have a whole list of criteria based on sourcing processes, your manufacturing processes, other certifications your product or raw materials might hold. And so if your mature market product meets one of our innovative criteria, it's eligible to participate in our program. We just have to take it one further step for those mature market products to prove that you're doing good stuff for the environment and that your product and its manufacturing is actually innovative in nature. So with that, let's move on. Okay, fiscal year 23 year in review metrics. So this slide shows some graphs about how we've been growing over the years from fiscal year 18 to fiscal year 23. Our applications submitted is increasing. Our applications certified is increasing. Flipping over to this last graph, total products added is increasing, which is super exciting for us. We love to see that, but I want to highlight this middle graph because it's my favorite. Companies receiving certification. Yes, it is absolutely phenomenal when a company is already a program participant and they continue to develop more bio-based products and register with us and earn certifications for those products. We love that. But this company's participating graph is really exciting to me because it shows that the BioPreferred program is catching on. New companies are learning about us and seeing value in participation and having the label, and they're jumping on the bandwagon. They're registering their products and they're earning the label for their products. And so that is why this middle graph is particularly exciting to me. So moving on. All right, we're going to dive into soy-specific products for the rest of this participation because that's why we're here today. We're going to start with some soy stats, and then I'm going to highlight some participants that participate in the BioPreferred program and they use soy as a raw material. So some stats. There are 1,434 soy-based products in our catalog. And soy products can be found in 153 of our catalog, 153 product categories in our catalog. So that indicates to me that soy is doing some amazing things. It is innovating in 153 different areas. But what that also indicates to me is that there's opportunity for further innovation with soy raw materials in our remaining almost 100 product categories. The three categories with the most soy-based products are intermediates plastic resin, intermediates foams, and stationary equipment hydraulic fluids. The two companies with the highest number of participating soy-based products in our program is renewable lubricants and environmental lubricants manufacturing. All righty, moving on. So our first product feature is Synlon. You all might know about them, might have heard about them, but they're a Georgia-based company which offers a bio-based turf collection, including 6 grass types to choose from, as well as infill systems. According to Synlon, they are the first line of artificial grass made from plant-based materials. All right, on to our next product feature, Crossplane Solutions. They're a Georgia-based company that has recently certified their soy foam TF1122 with 84% bio-based content. Applications of this product include fighting fires from small brush fires to house fires, fuel spills, aerial distributions for wildfires, and more. And then our final product highlight is hempwood. Hempwood is a Kentucky-based company, and hempwood utilizes soy in place of traditional VOC containing adhesives and coatings for their hemp-based flooring. And so the flooring is made out of hemp, but the adhesive and coating that they use is soy-based. So the purpose of highlighting these three products was to show you all the different applications for soy when formulating bio-based products. All three products that we looked at today are very different in nature. And so it indicates to us that soy has such a breadth and depth of application when making bio-based products. With that, I do believe that is the end of my, we moved on. The end of my presentation today for you all. I am excited to answer any questions you might have after we're done with the rest of the presentation. One thing that I would like to add, we do have extensive resources on registering your company with the program and submitting an application. So if you would like us to email that out to you and take a look at it, or if you have any questions for getting started with the BioPreferred program, please, I encourage you to reach out. We are more than happy to guide you in the right direction and help you along the way. So thank you so much for chatting with me this morning.
That was fantastic. I really appreciate that tremendous insight. I guess what impressed me, and I learned a lot, the staggering statistics, not only about the number of products that are bio-preferred, but also the soy-based products. I didn't even know that prior to today. Thank you, Marissa. I appreciate it. I know many of your attendees have great questions. However, we can save them to the end of Elizabeth's presentation. That would be best. So at this point, I'm pleased to introduce Elizabeth Rich from Green Blue. And Elizabeth will discuss how certifications and third-party assessment programs can help producers of soy and other bio-based materials ensure that the products are truly safe alternatives and provide reassurance to customers while protecting confidential business information. So this time we ask you to give your full attention to Elizabeth as she educates us on the multitude of programs, including CleanGredients, EPA Safer Choice, Sustainable Packaging Coalition's CleanPackage, ChemFORWARD SAFER, GreenScreen, Cradle to Cradle. Elizabeth, would you like to take it over?
Yes, thank you. I'm happy to be here. So I'd like to start by just giving a little bit of background on Green Blue as an organization and who we are. We're an environmental nonprofit that's dedicated to empowering our stakeholders to promote a more sustainable materials economy. And we do this through a variety of programs, including the Sustainable Packaging Coalition, the How to Recycle Labeling Program, the Recycled Material Standard, and more. And today I'm going to focus on our work through CleanGredients and CleanPackage, two programs that center around materials that are safer for humans and the environment, and also share some information about some of the certification programs we partner with through this work. So our mission at Green Blue is to advance sustainable practices through, sorry about that. Our mission at Green Blue is to advance sustainable practices through education and collaboration, providing the necessary tools and resources for our stakeholders to take action. When it comes to safer materials, we do this through partnerships with certification programs and third-party assessors. We create tools that make it easier for companies to market verified safer alternative materials. I'm going to start today by providing some background on what that process can look like, and then get into some specifics about certification and assessment programs and tools that are relevant for different product categories, including, as Chris mentioned, Safer Choice, CleanGredients, CleanPackage, ChemFORWARD SAFER, GreenScreen, and Cradle to Cradle. So first, I wanted to talk a little bit about where the concept of safer materials fits in with overall sustainability considerations and why it's an important consideration for users of bio-based products. So this graphic captures a lot of how we think about sustainability for products and packaging. Every product has a life cycle starting from when it's sourced from raw materials and ending when it's either recovered through recycling or composting, or maybe it ends up being discarded. This can look different depending on the type of product we're talking about. So for example, packaging materials might look different from a surfactant that gets used in cleaning products. But either way, you need to take into account impacts that occur throughout the life cycle. When you're thinking about bio-based materials, the obvious distinction is in the sourcing phase, and Marissa provided a lot of information about how you can verify bio-based sourcing. But I would encourage you to take a broader view and think about the impacts that a product has throughout all stages of the life cycle. So this can include things like carbon footprint, water consumption, waste generation, and more. But an important consideration that my focus today is the safety of chemicals in the product, both for human health and for the environment. So why is chemical safety such an important sustainability consideration? There's been more and more attention paid in recent years to chemicals that are in products we use, especially things that are used on, in, or near our bodies, things like cleaning products, food packaging, and personal care products. And when you're talking about something like packaging, chemicals don't necessarily go away when the packaging gets either recycled or composted. So for example, if you have a substance like PFAS that's in food serviceware that gets composted, the PFAS will end up in the finished compost. So to avoid perpetuating chemical hazards when materials get recirculated in the circular economy, it's important to think about the materials that are used upfront in the design stage. But this can sometimes be challenging, especially if you want to go beyond avoiding a specific known substance of concern, and you're trying to choose materials that are truly safer for human health and the environment throughout the entire life cycle. So yeah, bio-based products, like Marissa was mentioning, they can be used in a huge variety of applications. And in some cases, they might be able to offer a safer alternative to what's in use today. But then the question is, how can suppliers assure both their direct customers and the end users of products that they are truly safer? So especially in some cases where bio-based products might be being marketed as a safer alternative to conventional options that might be, based on petrochemicals or other substances of concern, it's really critical to ensure that those claims are legitimate and that they're backed up by independent assessment and certification. So safer chemistry is a journey, and it can mean different things to different companies depending on where they are on their journey. For a lot of companies, the first step is just understanding what chemicals are in their products. And this can actually be surprisingly challenging in some cases, depending on what your supply chain looks like. Next, you might be looking at screening against lists of known hazardous chemicals, like regulatory lists, or if you have customers with restricted substance lists. But a bigger step you can take toward demonstrating that a product is truly a safer alternative comes when every chemical in the product gets subjected to an independent chemical hazard assessment. And this can ultimately lead into product certification, but it can be a challenging thing to do due to issues with cost and data availability. So why is it so hard to get good data and determine whether a chemical is safe? I wanted to share this quote here from Dr. Lauren Heim, who is the co-founder and director of ChemFORWARD, one of the organizations we've partnered with in our work. She said, "It takes a lot more information to prove that a chemical is inherently safe than it does to prove that it's toxic. Just knowing that a chemical is a known carcinogen or that it causes skin sensitization can be enough to rule it out as a good candidate for a particular product application. But to be sure that it's inherently benign for its intended use means that data gaps must be filled. A lack of hazard data does not mean that a chemical is inherently benign." So this really illustrates the amount of data that you need to prove that a product is a safer alternative and not something that might be considered a regrettable substitute that might have unexpected hazards. In our work at GreenBlue, we found opportunities to collaborate with partner organizations and stakeholders to try and find solutions to this challenge across multiple product sectors where our stakeholders work. When we're talking about verified safer materials, the solutions we're looking at are kind of on the right side of this chart. And they can include things like a repository of safer chemicals based on their chemical identity or CAS number, or even a registry of verified safer materials by trade name. And then for finished products, you can be looking at certifications, specific product specifications, including certifications that address chemical hazards. So why does a shared data repository, and especially one that includes specific trade name materials, help enable adoption of safer chemistry? First thing is, it goes beyond just looking at the CAS numbers the company is willing to disclose. So this means you can look at things like trade secret materials that may not be public information, non-intentionally added substances. This could be like contaminants, residuals from the manufacturing process, things like that, or even nuances of chemical structure that may not be captured by the CAS number. So all of that can be assessed by a trusted third party under a non-disclosure agreement. Second, shared data in a repository can mean assessments don't have to be repeated for every user of a material. So this means that there's more data that's available, and it's available at a lower cost because that cost is shared across multiple companies that are using the same information. And finally, these types of tools can help suppliers distinguish their brands and also build trust with their customers. Once you have that data on building block materials, it becomes much easier to achieve a certification for products made using those materials. These can ultimately be used by product users to facilitate the purchase of safer products. Marissa was talking about preferred purchasing by the federal government, and some of these certifications, including Safer Choice and Cradle to Cradle, are also recognized for preferred purchasing. And they can also be helpful just for consumers purchasing products at the store as well. So now let's get into some of the details of how these certifications work and tools that supply chain members can be part of that facilitate the certification process. So we've been working with EPA Safer Choice certification for many years. Safer Choice was formerly known as the Design for the Environment program, and it's primarily a certification for household and institutional cleaning products. As part of the certification process, independent third-party assessors, as well as EPA staff, review every chemical ingredient in a product, including non-intentionally added substances that are present above a de minimis level, to ensure they are safer for humans and the environment. And the certification process also looks at other product attributes, such as performance, sustainable packaging, and transparency. This gives a little bit of an overview of what you might see when you're looking at a Safer Choice certified product. So product formulators who are seeking this Safer Choice certification need resources to be able to identify chemicals that can be that meet the Safer Choice program's criteria. So GreenBlue launched CleanGredients in 2006 as a resource for cleaning product formulators who are seeking to participate in the program that's now known as Safer Choice. So CleanGredients isn't the only resource that can help with this. There's also EPA offers a safer chemical ingredients list that identifies safer chemicals by chemical name, CAS number, and functional class. However, CleanGredients lists trade name building block ingredients that have been fully assessed against human and environmental health endpoints by third-party profilers. And this includes secondary ingredients, additives, residuals, contaminants, trade secret ingredients, as I mentioned earlier. So this tool gives product formulators a resource to source verified safer ingredients that meet the Safer Choice program's stringent criteria. And it also gives ingredient suppliers an opportunity to highlight their green chemistry progress while protecting confidential business information. Ultimately, CleanGredients helps product formulators bring Safer Choice certified products to market faster. It helps reduce review costs and reduces the risk of failing to achieve Safer Choice certification. CleanGredients is the definitive database of market-ready chemical ingredients that are pre-approved to meet EPA's Safer Choice standard. So for manufacturers of bio-based products that might be ingredients in formulated products that fall within the scope of Safer Choice certification, such as surfactants or solvents, CleanGredients listing can help their products stand out to customers who may be seeking Safer Choice certification or are otherwise looking for verified safer ingredients. So just a quick overview of how the process works. First, to be listed in CleanGredients, the ingredient must be reviewed by a qualified third-party profiler. And the three we work with are NSF, Tox Services, and Gradient, as well as the Safer Choice team at EPA. This process looks at all the chemical components of an ingredient, including additives, residuals, preservatives, contaminants, and more. Second, the supplier will publish an ingredient listing for the product in the CleanGredients database, and I'll show you an example of what that looks like in just a moment. And then formulators can source pre-approved ingredients for their products, which then won't have to be reviewed again by a third-party profiler when they submit a product for Safer Choice review. This makes it less risky, less costly, and less time-consuming to achieve Safer Choice certification. So CleanGredients now has over 800 active and published ingredient listings in 18 functional classes, which you can see here. So any products that are in these classes are potentially good candidates for CleanGredients listing. We do periodically add new functional classes to meet the needs of Safer Choice partners, typically mirroring the functional classes that are in the Safer Chemical Ingredients list. The most recent additions have been defoamers, emollients, and specialized industrial chemicals. And although most of the functional classes that are in CleanGredients reflect the needs of cleaning product formulators who are seeking Safer Choice certification, we're also open to listing safer alternative products in other functional classes if those ingredients meet the Safer Choice master criteria. So one example of this is plasticizers. This shows how CleanGredients users can navigate the database to find the ingredients they're looking for. Once you see an ingredient you're interested in, you can click on the ingredient profile, the ingredient name to learn more. And then each ingredient profile contains information that's essential for a Safer Choice product review. So for example, whether the product is eligible for use in direct release products that are used outdoors in the environment, the VOC content of the ingredient, whether there's a maximum concentration at which the ingredient can be used in a Safer Choice certified product, or if there are other specific exclusions. For example, some ingredients can only be used in liquid product formulations or only in a certain type of specialized industrial product, that information will be there as well. Because the ingredients that are listed in CleanGredients have already undergone a complete review by third-party profilers and Safer Choice, they don't have to be reviewed again when a formulator submits a product containing these ingredients to a third-party profiler for Safer Choice review. As I mentioned, this typically results in a lower review cost for the formulated product, a reduced risk of the product failing its Safer Choice review, and so it helps avoid the time and cost that's associated with reformulating a product to qualify for Safer Choice. And then we often get some questions about the differences between the Safer Chemical Ingredient list from EPA and CleanGredients. They both identify safer chemistries that meet the Safer Choice standard, but there are some key differences. Most importantly, Skill lists generic chemicals, while CleanGredients lists trade name ingredients from specific suppliers. Because CleanGredients lists trade name ingredients that have been reviewed exactly as their source from a specific supplier, formulators can avoid any surprises that may come up in the review process that are caused by things like additives, residuals, secondary ingredients, structural differences that may be present in chemicals that may share a CAS number. For example, you might find an otherwise acceptable polymer that contains too much residual monomer, or you might have something like ethanol that has an unacceptable denaturant. And any of those kinds of things can cause a product to fail a Safer Choice review. And then because all the components in the ingredients listed in CleanGredients have already been reviewed, it makes the review process a little bit more smooth because they don't have to be reviewed again. So now I want to turn from our work in cleaning products to the packaging sector. So CleanGredients has been helping product formulators for over 15 years, but at GreenBlue, a lot of our work focuses on the packaging space. And within that space, there has been increasing interest in safer packaging materials. A lot of people are looking at things like PFAS and trying to think about what do safer materials for packaging look like. So we worked with Sustainable Packaging Coalition, SPC members, as well as a partner organization, ChemFORWARD, to study the problem and try to work towards a solution. We brought together our learnings from this work as well as our experience with CleanGredients to create a new resource, CleanPackage, which launched earlier this year. CleanPackage is a registry of trade name materials where manufacturers and converters can find materials that have been verified through ChemFORWARD SAFER, run by our partner ChemFORWARD, as well as other Cradle programs. It was designed to help suppliers demonstrate the human and environmental safety of their products and build trust with their customers based on a rigorous third-party assessment. So what types of bio-based materials could potentially be good candidates for listing in CleanPackage? It could be a good option for anything that's going into packaging, such as maybe bioplastics, plasticizers and other additives, inks, coatings, adhesives, anything of that nature. This is especially true for applications where the bio-based product is replacing a known hazardous alternative, so something like an orthophthalate plasticizer or BPA-based can lining or something along those lines. Chemical hazard assessment can help ensure that regrettable substitutions are avoided, and CleanPackage can help communicate that to potential customers without revealing any confidential information. So the model we followed for CleanPackage was based on what we knew had worked well for CleanGredients. Our partner organization, ChemFORWARD, has a repository of chemical hazard data, sort of filling the space that skill fills within the Safer Choice realm. Using this data and other qualified programs to assess trade name materials, we were able to create CleanPackage, which is a registry of verified safer alternative trade name building block materials for packaging. Ultimately, our goal is for this data to be able to feed into certifications for finished products. Sorry, this graphics got a little messed up on this slide. So in developing the requirements for CleanPackage, we took inventory of existing assessment programs within the packaging space that address chemical hazards and material health. In addition to the SAFER assessment program that was offered by our partner ChemFORWARD, the two programs we identified that were assessing chemical hazards and packaging materials were GreenScreen certified, which offers a certification for food service ware, among other products, and Cradle to Cradle, which offers both material health certificates as well as multi-attribute certification for packaging and other product types. These programs assess material health at different levels, ranging from screening for known hazardous chemicals to a full assessment and an optimization of the chemistry in the product. So based on our assessment, we chose to include materials meeting these qualifications in CleanPackage. What they have in common is rigorous disclosure, third-party assessors, and they rely on chemical hazard assessments. I apologize that some of the text here got cut off, but what I'm trying to show here is that for GreenScreen and Cradle to Cradle, only materials qualifying at the gold or higher level are eligible. Each of these programs has different certification levels, as I mentioned, bronze, silver, gold, and platinum, which is important to offer an on-ramp to certification while product formulation is being optimized, but the lower levels don't necessarily require chemical hazard assessments, or they allow non-optimized chemicals to be used. So while they're important, they don't qualify for CleanPackage because we wanted to make sure that users of the registry have high confidence in the materials they select. So an overview of the process to qualify for CleanPackage listing, it's fairly similar across the three programs, although each program is unique and costs may vary. To determine whether a product may be eligible to qualify for a CleanPackage listing, ChemFORWARD, our partner, can offer an initial pre-screening process to sort of do a preliminary assessment. Then after selecting a program, the next step would be to engage with a third-party assessor. With that third-party assessor, you would execute a non-disclosure agreement if that's needed, disclose product data to the third-party assessor, and you would get a cost estimate for the review. Depending on the nature of the product, you might need additional chemical hazard assessments that may or may not be needed just depending on what substances are present in your product. And that could affect the cost and timeline for review. The assessor might also need to work with your suppliers to obtain additional data for the review process. Once the review is complete, if your product qualifies, you would get a certification issued, which will help you distinguish your product and assure your customers that it's a safer alternative. And then your qualified product can be listed in CleanPackage, which will amplify the work you've done to members of the Sustainable Packaging Coalition, including major brands and packaging converters. And here I will show you a quick preview of CleanPackage, which is now available as a resource to Sustainable Packaging Coalition members. We initially populated the tool with materials that were assessed through a pilot program we ran with ChemFORWARD, as well as other materials that qualify based on the other approved assessment programs I mentioned. Each listing includes the material trade name, supplier name, a description, and information about the functions of the material. We've also included contact information so interested parties can learn more if they think a material might be suited for their application. And then one thing I'll point out is that the listings here don't list the chemical components of each material. This is by design. These are disclosed to the third-party assessor under a non-disclosure agreement, but they are not disclosed to the general public or users of the CleanPackage tool. This allows suppliers to protect confidential business information while still giving prospective purchasers the confidence that these materials have been fully assessed and are truly safer materials. So just to wrap things up, I wanted to circle back around to why third-party verification of safer materials is so important. First, it helps avoid regrettable substitutions where one hazardous chemical is phased out and replaced with another similarly hazardous material. Second, third-party assessment programs can help innovative products distinguish themselves from the competition. This can be especially valuable for bio-based products where they may be in competition with a conventionally sourced product, which may or may not have chemical hazards associated with it. And third, tools like CleanGredients and CleanPackage help facilitate communication within the supply chain while protecting confidential business information. And finally, assessment of building block materials can make it simpler for final products to achieve certifications, which can then ultimately help buyers select safer products in a variety of applications. With that, thank you for your time and attention, and I will now hand things back over to Chris.
Thank you, Elizabeth. You're just a wealth of information. I don't know how you keep it all straight at Green Blue because you're going across so many different certification programs. And really, I found amazing. I don't think a lot of us knew until today how to differentiate between the EPA Safer Chemical Ingredients and the CleanGredients as they go into Safer Choice. So that outline was fantastic and quite great insight. So at this time, I'd like to go on to our questions from our audience. And again, if you have any, please put them into the Q&A box at this time. So the first question is, why doesn't USDA allow for the use of mass balance documentation as long as they are based on US grown crops? I don't know if you can see that. That's for you, Marissa. And then it says many large-scale products are either too large to source exclusively from biomass and require mixed sourcing biopetroleum products. So would you like to comment on that, Marissa?
Yeah, I can. Unfortunately, that's an item that I don't have a whole lot of insight into because we have a rule writing team that is separate from us. But I can share that this is a question that we get often. And right now, since the inception of the program, our standard has been ASTM D6866. So that's the test method that our approved labs utilize to confirm the bio-based content in our products. If you want to follow up via email, I'll try to see if I can get some more information for you on that item, but I can confirm that it's part of our program rules to use ASTM D6866.
Okay, that's a great answer. Thank you, Marissa. It looks like you have the next question too. So do you also have data information on castor and palm-based products?
We do, yes. there are, oh my goodness, I've lost count, but so many different bio-based raw materials that are used in products that participate in the BioPreferred program. And we have data and metrics on everything. So if you're particularly interested in some numbers around castor or palm, please feel free to reach out to us via email. Our email is on our website, biopreferred.gov, and we'd be happy to share some of that data with you.
Okay. I think the next one is also for you, Marissa, if I'm reading it right. How often are bio-based categories reviewed for the technological growth and increased requirements for percentage of content for BioPreferred?
Yes, this is a great question. I'm not really sure how much I can share on this item, but as it stands right now, in order to edit product categories that are designated for preferred federal purchasing or add new product categories, it requires an entire rule change. And we all know how much effort and time that is. And so it's been very slow moving to make those updates. We are working towards a process in which we can just make updates to product categories and add new product categories whenever there's a need. In an easy, simple process that does not require a rule change. I am not sure when that process is going to be rolled out. I'm hopeful it's soon. But once that new process for designating product categories and making updates to product categories is unveiled, it'll be frequent. It's something that we're going to keep a constant pulse on. Yeah.
Yes, in both cases, it's ever evolving. There's no doubt. Next question, also referring to USDA BioPreferred. Do companies have to be a BioPreferred certified in order to buy and sell BioPreferred products?
So I think I know what you're asking in this question. Do you have to participate in the BioPreferred program in order to sell your products to the federal government? And the answer is no. So when the federal government is required to meet their mandates and purchase bio-based products, the mandate is just bio-based. The mandate doesn't say you have to purchase products from the BioPreferred program. With that being said, if the government chooses to purchase a bio-based product to meet this mandate that does not participate in the BioPreferred program, they're going to have to verify the bio-based content on their own, which is extra effort, extra time, extra money, all that jazz. Purchasing a bio-based product that already participates in the BioPreferred program is an easy button for the federal government and their purchasers. So there's certainly an advantage to participating in the BioPreferred program when it comes to selling to the federal government, because a lot of federal purchasers only purchase products that participate in our program, or at least take a first pass at our products, because it's much easier for them that way.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. One more question here. Why would some bio-based product categories not be designated for federally preferred purchasing, and what is required for a category to meet that need?
Yeah, another great question. I'm just going to go back and highlight something I already stated in a previous response. As it's written in program rules right now, it's an extensive process for a category to be designated for mandatory federal procurement. And so that's why there's far less federal procurement product categories. But we acknowledge that as a roadblock, and we're working to change that and update program rules to reflect that. So that should change in the future.
Okay, and I'm going to skip to the next question. I'm going to have maybe Marissa address this, because you are really addressing a plethora of different certifications. Roughly speaking, what is the scale of cost relating in third-party product or packaging assessment? There's thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit. I mean, to start with, I will say it really depends on the nature of the product. So if you have a product that is very simple, that has one chemical substance that's present in it that's very well understood and has existing chemical hazard assessment data, that's going to be a lot less expensive to assess than a product that may have, 50 or 100 different chemicals present in it, and in a case where some of those may not have good existing data, some new data might need to be generated. So there can be quite a bit of variability just depending on the nature of the product. That said, I would say, like, if you typically for something like CleanGredients review, you're looking more in the thousands. But as I said, it can really depend on the nature of the product.
Yeah. And I think in both cases, when you look at it, the cost is relatively negligible when you think of the benefit that you are getting from all these certifications, which is very positive.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Marissa, I'm going to move on to you. Someone was recently in the USDA BioPreferred website and found roughly about 200 construction products. Of the 8,000 certified, are there many not shown on the website, or are they missing something? And will you also consider downloadable certifications such as LEEDs?
Sure, I can touch on this one a little bit. So first I'd like to highlight our website is biopreferred.gov. I'm not familiar with a biobased.gov, so there is a chance you might be on the incorrect website. So I would check biopreferred.gov and check the catalog there. I unfortunately do not have the exact number of construction products that participate off the top of my head. What I do know is there are many construction product categories in our catalog. And so if you're only in one of the product categories and that specific category is showing 200 products, you might want to check the others as well. But additionally, one item that I would like to highlight is our catalog shows most of the products that participate in the program, but not all, because some products are private label. And so the company has requested we don't publicize their participation in the program. Some products have been fully developed and formulated, but they haven't been launched yet on the market. And so we wouldn't want to make that product public until the company is ready. And so just to share that, no, not all the products are in our catalog, but all the ones that are available for purchase by the government or a consumer are.
Great question. Okay, and the last one I'm going to refer to Elizabeth. So, and this is a question that comes up a lot: product carbon footprint. Does Safer Choice intend to include product carbon footprint into their evaluations? And does the EPA plan to provide PCF data for bio-derived products? Good question.
Yeah, that is a good question. So Safer Choice is, while they do look at some other attributes of products, their primary focus is on chemical hazards. So ensuring that the chemical ingredients that are present in the product are safer for humans and the environment. While they do consider some other attributes such as performance and packaging sustainability, they are not typically looking at product carbon footprint, considering they have the same criteria essentially for bio-based and non-bio-based ingredients that are going into a product. And I know when you're thinking about cleaning products, a lot of the carbon footprint of the product can also come in the use phase. So looking at things like, if you're looking at a laundry detergent, a lot of the carbon footprint of that product is happening when people are actually using the product, to wash clothes or something like that. So that's kind of outside of the scope of what the Safer Choice certification covers.
Great.
We are undergoing a revision process right now, but I don't believe that has been proposed as a change to the standard.
Great answer. Thank you for addressing that, Elizabeth. That's a complicated question. And one more question from Marissa. You presented a number of BioPreferred products that are certified. Do you have an idea of the volume of the BioPreferred products sold in 2022?
Yes, this is a great question. That is not a number that we have, unfortunately. So On our website, we have a catalog, but you cannot purchase products directly from our website. It's not a marketplace. And so we are unable to track how many of our participating products are purchased by the government or consumers, anybody who ends up on our website or in our catalog. The reason that we know how much the dollar amount that is purchased by the federal government on an annual basis is because as part of the mandate to purchase bio-based, they're required to report their spend in sam.gov at the end of the fiscal year. And so that's where we get that number from, is from federal purchasers and their contractors reporting in SAM the dollar amount that they spend on bio-based products that year.
Yeah, that'd be tough to quantify, there's no doubt. One more here for Elizabeth. Would you please talk about the economic benefit to the companies in obtaining certifications such as Safer Choice, GreenScreen, and Cradle to Cradle? That's maybe hard to quantify.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I don't necessarily have, data in terms of, spending on specifically these certified products. But I will say that GreenScreen is a relatively newer certification, but both Safer Choice and Cradle to Cradle are recognized for preferred federal purchasing. So it can provide a benefit for preferred federal purchasing. Safer Choice, I know if you're going through LEED certification, there are safer cleaning criteria that recognize the use of Safer Choice certified products in cleaning for facilities.
Mhm.
And they can also be beneficial for if you're selling consumer products through retailers. They can be beneficial for relationships with retailers and helping to assure that your products are safer in that regard. The Safer Choice program has done some surveys to assess consumer recognition of the label and preference, and there is consumers who see the label on products and recognize it do say that they would prefer to purchase products that are Safer Choice certified. So that can also be a potential benefit if you're selling consumer products as opposed to institutional products. I hope that helps answer. I don't have like quantitative data on purchasing through these certification programs, but it can provide economic benefits in those ways.
Yeah, great answer. Both of you, fantastic presentations. That's all the time we have for questions at this time. And I'd like to thank you fantastic speakers, for joining us today. And we appreciate your attendance at the audience level and hope you found that this webinar is informative and will hopefully inspire you to develop, commercialize, and use soy and other bio-based materials in your future product offerings. So at this time, I'd like to thank you on behalf of the United Soybean Board, Smith Buckland, and Omnitech International for your interest, and encourage you to reach out to us if you are interested in learning more about assistance in the technical or commercial development of soy-based products. And you can also learn more by visiting our website, soynewuses.org. And we look forward to seeing you again in our future webinars and hope that you, your family, and coworkers have a wonderful and happy holidays.